Don't resign too early in your games. This grandmaster playing with white thought it was impossible to stop these pawns from queening, but he was wrong to give up so early. Rule number 1. The only way to try and stop these pawns is to create checkmate threats. So king here, threatening checkmate, king here, rook check, king here, check again, and king a6. Threaten him with checkmate again. And when he goes to a5, you follow him. He goes to a4, you go to c4. He goes to a3, you go to c3. And king a2. And now we have a problem. Playing this move doesn't create a checkmate threat. Principle number 2. When you are not able to create checkmate threats, and this king is on the same rank as the most advanced pawn, the only way to stop them is by threatening to take one of the pawn with check, giving you time to grab the next pawn. And the best move here is rook f1. If he pushes, check, and white wins the game this time. If he pushes this pawn instead, the king now has time to come back. Then all you have to do is sacrifice the rook for a well-deserved draw. The king is totally stuck on the corner. The only way to try and win for white is if this rook goes to b8, so this king can free this square of promotion. But is it enough to win for white here? Let's go. Rook h2. King gets closer. Rook here. The king is too close now. And after rook b8, the rook is free to go anywhere because this king took over the mission controlling the escape of the white king who remains in jail. Now it's time for the trick. Next time you see an endgame where the king is stuck, remember that white is winning if 4 squares separate this king from this one. Let me show you. Rook h2. King starts getting closer. Rook here. King d7. And the rook challenges this one on this file. And when the rook goes away, you see the big difference? The king escapes. The rook will start checking, but it's totally useless. King here, check, king b6, king here. I'm sure you know how to avoid checks with your king going down the board, right? Who said 2 knights cannot checkmate in chess? We would never try to win this position with white in our games. But we're wrong. Let me show you. This rook is pinned, so start with this check. If the king goes to this square, knight check wins the rook. So you think going here is better? Checkmate! So the king was forced to go to e6. Now the dancing knight. Check again. King goes back. Check. And now going to e6 would be a disaster after this fork, winning the rook. So the only square is to go to e8. Now activate the rook. Check. If the king goes there, another knight fork wins the game for white. But wait, black could cover with their rook, and it seems like black is safe. I was joking. White has a killer move, and it's not what you're thinking about right now. Moving the king decides the game. White threatens to capture the rook on the next move, so black is forced to take. And if you think we capture back, I have a better idea. Checkmate! How do you stop this pawn from queening? This pawn can't be stopped, so the only way to try and win for white is if there is a checkmate pattern. Start moving this knight, and if the king captures, the rook is now free to go to g1 and grab this pawn and win easily. But wait, of course your friend will smell this trap from miles away. He queens instead. Now check. This poor king has only 1 square. And now we all do the same thing. We keep looking for more checks that lead to checkmate. Instead, use your full army and bring the king, threatening to checkmate like this on the next move. So black is forced to find some space to breathe. And now, are you looking for checks again? Don't. Just reduce the space around this king, threatening rook checkmate. But black can take, so the knight is not defended anymore. Defend it again. And when the queen takes this pawn, rook check, the king takes the knight. And now, how do you checkmate on the next move? Can you believe black is not losing this endgame? Rook c3. This move is powerful. The rook prevents the king to go to this square because this pawn would be lost. Now they play b7. This is the only possible move if white wants to try and win this game. Now that he pushed his pawn, you control that pawn with rook b3, king c7, and now remember this. Against 2 protected passed pawns, you can draw with black only if this rook controls the most advanced pawn, while your king is on time to grab this one. If these 2 conditions are not met, you lose. So the correct move here is king e4. If he promotes, rook takes pawn, king takes, and we bring our king to draw. If he pushes this pawn instead, now you know the trick. We bring our king who controls the pawn in the back, while this rook controls the front pawn. When he He queens, we exchange all pieces and draw this endgame. Do you want to learn a beautiful trick in Rook endgames? The first thing that comes to your mind with white is to grab this pawn, kill it, capture it, eat it, right? But just believe me when I tell you that taking this pawn is just a draw, because the rook stays on the b file to control this pawn, and the kings approaching makes it impossible for white to make any progress, because all you'll do when the king reaches the square is to give him checks non-stop. But let's start again. White is totally winning here if you can find this beautiful trick. The answer is to sacrifice the rook. If pawn takes, simply push this pawn, and now you understand why we did this? The rook cannot come to b2 to stop this pawn from queening on the next move. Was there any other move black could have played here to avoid losing? White is in trouble here. The grandmaster playing with black was pretty happy thinking he would draw because the king attacks this rook, but he's also threatening to fork the king and the bishop. So how do you save your pieces with white? Simple, you can't. So the GM came up with a genius plan instead. Can you find the winning move for white? Rook c4, because after rook check, king here, he grabs the bishop, yes, but we have a little trick, putting his rook in jail. After the amazing move, h4, this is crazy, but the rook has no square to go to. The black pawns cannot move, so it leaves only one possible move for black, which is king e8. But now, I let you find the easy checkmate on the next move. How do you stop this pawn from queening on the next move? Well, there is no way to stop him. But you won't believe how white is losing this game. Start with this check. King goes here. And now what? We still have the same problem. He's gonna queen next. I have a nice trick for you. Rook check, forcing the king on this file. Now check here. I know what you're thinking. You just take the pawn and stop your friend from queening next. Your story is all very nice. You would be right if it wasn't a stalemate already and a draw. But wait, I said white is losing this game. Don't just take this pawn and stalemate the guy. We have a brilliant move here, sacrificing the bishop. Because if the king takes, now you can take the pawn, and there is no stalemate. But I can already see your comments telling me that your friend could have promoted to a queen instead. You think so? Bishop g4, and nothing or nobody can stop checkmate here on the next move. I know what you're thinking. Easy win for white, you just take, sacrificing your bishop because this pawn is unstoppable next, right? Wrong. I check and bring my rook back, and this is a draw. Let me show you how white wins this. Start with a check, and when the king moves, push your pawn. And the GM thought he was fine after this move, but he missed a beautiful trick. Attack the rook. Check. Attack the rook again. And our friend bothers us. Attack this pawn. Don't panic. He can't take this bishop, or we push and one of these pawns becomes a queen. So he brings his king instead. Now take the pawn. And your friend thinks that after playing this move, he is guaranteed a draw, because if you push, all he has to do is sacrifice the rook and then take this pawn. But wait, the key move here is another bishop sacrifice, threatening to queen on the next move. And when he takes, now your two pawns are on the 7th rank. And you know who's gonna stop them?
Absolutely nobody!